So, in the last presidential election, President Donald Trump, or then candidate Donald Trump, made crime a federal issue, in part because of Kamala Harris's background. She tried to brandish her credentials as a prosecutor in San Francisco, an attorney general here in California, where crime is obviously a mess. And that was an issue that Donald Trump very successfully used in the campaign to motivate voters who are concerned about crime to vote for him and the Republican ticket. Since being elected, he has used the National Guard in cities like Washington, D.C., to try to get those cities under control. And so far, he's been quite successful at that. And the crime rate in places where he has been very active has gone down. And his critics just won't acknowledge that what he's doing is improving the lives of the people who live in those communities, people that authors of papers like the New York Times claim to care about.
Absolutely. Every time I hear the phrase Black Lives Matter, it just makes me want to throw up. It is the most hypocritical, lying, deceptive phrase that's ever been coined, because the activists and politicians who go under the banner of Black Lives Mattering don't say a word about the vast majority of black deaths. There are dozens of blacks killed every single day in carnage that is completely out of sight, out of mind for most Americans. That's more homicide victims a day among blacks than all white and Hispanic homicide victims combined, even though blacks are only 13% of the national population. And among those victims include children, toddlers gunned down. None of those victims have ever been protested by Kamala Harris, by Joe Biden, by Gavin Newsom, by Karen Bass. None, because they are overwhelmingly killed by other black people. The only time that the activists get up off their butts, stop collecting their, billions of corporate donations and investing it in pricey real estate in Bel Air, is in the very, very rare instance, numbering maybe 12 a year, where an so-called unarmed black person is killed by a police officer. That's it. Trump, by contrast, has spoken the truth. In the first Trump election, when he was running, he talked about the carnage, and I think that was even in his first inaugural address. This offended even conservatives who thought, oh, this is just harsh language. He's absolutely correct. He is the one politician that is refusing to define deviance down when it comes to American cities. He's refusing to say, as we heard from the media when he announced that he was putting the National Guard into Washington, D.C. in August of this last year, everybody said, oh, that's unnecessary because crime is down in 2024 compared to 2023. So everything's fine. Nothing to see here, folks. That's with a homicide rate of 27 per 100,000 in Washington, D.C. That's with a 3-year-old toddler over 4th of July 2025 being fatally shot in a drive-by shooting at a 4th of July barbecue. Trump is refusing to say, oh, it's all okay. No, he's saying we have to get a handle on this. I am not accepting it any longer. Trump is the one who cares about black lives, not the Democratic Party and the activists that surround it.
What's driving a lot of the writers for the big newspapers crazy, I think, is that not only is what you said true, but it's cutting through the noise. Donald Trump as a candidate did better among not just black voters, but minority voters than John McCain did or Mitt Romney did or other Republicans that they find more acceptable. And it's not even just a larger share of the vote that Donald Trump received from the black community. So many of the big cultural figures in the black community are supporters of Donald Trump, including Lil Wayne and Azalea Banks and Waka Flocka Flame, and a lot of the people who sell a lot of albums and put a lot of seats in chairs at concerts and those sorts of things. And it just drives them nuts that despite the fact that they denounce him on a daily basis as an awful racist, he's doing just fine with black voters.
Yeah, well, we'll see, how the trends continue. I wouldn't be willing to predict what the minority vote for Trump is going to be in the next election, or for the Republicans for that matter. But he's definitely an alpha male, and that appeals. He is not scared of being called names, above all of being called a racist or a sexist. I thought one of the great moments in the first election was when he sort of refused to take Megyn Kelly's bait. And now I respect Megyn Kelly a lot, but she was playing the ridiculous feminist card at that point. And again, he said, I don't have time for this. We don't have time for this. Females in the United States are the most privileged human beings in history. We are the beneficiaries of nonstop preferences. I have been the beneficiary, no doubt, of nonstop gender preferences. I do not feel victimized, and no female should. And Trump is not worried about the typical left-wing, the idea that if you just put the word racist out there, everybody's going to run screaming for the hills, and he doesn't. And I hope that is a model that everybody is going to follow.
One of the things that we saw after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed was we saw a lot of people on social media celebrating the death. Particularly, we saw certain professions overrepresented: teachers, people who work in healthcare, people who work for the government, those sorts of things. Right now, we're seeing chaos on the streets in Minneapolis, where people are protesting ICE's presence and ICE deporting many criminal aliens, returning them to their country of origin. And one of the groups that you see really overrepresented on the streets of Minneapolis right now are young women. And you look at poll results where young liberal women in particular are most likely to say that political violence is okay, that if you are really upset at something, it's okay to bend the rules or break the rules. What do you think is going on right now with these young liberal women that we're seeing on TV who think this way?
It's very bizarre because, we can remember when we all heard that, if we have more females in politics, we'll be less bellicose, because women believe in mediation and they're not warlike, and it's the awful males with their savage testosterone instincts that make war. And now you're absolutely right. It's the females that have bought into this chain of false propositions, which is that to express a view that contravenes the academic orthodoxies about widespread systemic discrimination against minorities and females, that is to be expressing hate, even though you have maybe expressed simply an empirical proposition about the numbers of immigrants that are collecting welfare, drunk driving offenses among immigrants, whatever, that is going to be called hate rather than part of the debate. And as hate, it is not covered by constitutional protections, and it creates danger and unsafety and risk to vulnerable, marginalized populations, and therefore should not only, as we've learned, should not only be suppressed, the free speech of the so-called haters should be suppressed, but as we've learned, you should kill the haters, such as Charlie Kirk. I remember your show, John, after the assassination of Kirk, and you reported that you were getting calls from elementary school teachers telling you won't believe what I'm hearing from my fellow teachers, justifying, celebrating this murder. I used that in some of my writing. That was an absolute eye-opener to me that made me call for airlifting kids out of the public schools. This is not something protected by academic freedom. If you're a K through 12 teacher that is celebrating the murder of somebody and a fellow American, you have shown yourself morally unfit to teach young children. As far as why females are cracking up generally. I think that the destruction of the idea of female modesty, the claim that females should be just as promiscuous as males, contravenes an innate female psychology, and they are out for blood. It turns out that they are not naturally peace-loving. They are vindictive, and there's also a problem with being able, on average, and I'm not talking necessarily about anybody's daughter or granddaughter who may be on the way to the next physics Nobel Prize or field prize in mathematics, but on average, males are more oriented towards data analysis, factual propositions, seeking out information. This is why they're the vast majority of editors on Wikipedia. Females are less rational and in their thinking, they're less likely to employ cost-benefit analysis, and they are giving in to this impulse for silencing, for brute force, for anti-democratic measures, and frankly, it's very worrisome. It's about time for males to step up to the plate, get off their butts if they're spending their days watching porn and video, and take their natural place in society.
That is also the population that's most likely to be on antidepressants, young left-wing women. And when you look at all of these data points together and you just add them all up, I wonder if this is part of the COVID hangover. I wonder if this is part of taking a population of people, because if you go back to 2020, we're now going back, 6 years or something like that, and you lock them in a house and you deny them social interaction, normal social interaction. You denied them the ability to play in sports and to go to the gym and all the things that we were all denied during COVID. I wonder if those decisions hit that population particularly hard, and that's why we're seeing all this craziness.
Well, I think, John, you've named a factor, but the whole idea of needing trigger warnings, the preposterous notion, this language of threat and risk and safety and needing allies that has always made me want to throw up when it's applied by college undergraduates to themselves, who, again, are in the most safe environment. They're coddled. They're catered to by the university bureaucrats, by the faculty. They're given enormously well-endowed dorms, food, whatever. They have nothing weighing on their minds, and yet they think of themselves as unsafe and at risk from reading Ovid. This was going on way back in the 2000s, 2010s, long before COVID. So, and the whole campus rape epidemic, that moral panic where females translated drunken hookup sex that is regretted the day after when they see that their male partner is not emotionally bonded with them, that he's like treating it as the lightweight thing that they were told that it should be, and then they say they've been raped. That long preceded COVID. So I think that somehow the stress of modern life, the stress of saying you should not want to have children, you should not be attracted to family, your purpose is to be a feminist, be an agitator, and to spend all your time trying to make partner. I think that at some point females are cracking under the pressure, and it does not help to have this massive advocacy class, political class, whose money is made by claiming that females are victims and are oppressed and living in a patriarchy. I'm rereading a book now by Nobel Prize winner Naguib Mahfouz, set in Egypt right after World War I. Very extraordinary. I mean, it's one of the great world novels. It's written in the tradition of British literature. If you want to read about a patriarchy, if you want to read of what really a male chauvinist is in his treatment of women, that's an example. Please do not tell us that American women are living in a patriarchy when they're walking around basically unclothed, being able to do whatever they want, be as promiscuous as they want, celebrating fat, body positivity. Forget it. It's a joke.
I think what you just described is part of the problem right now that the Democratic Party is facing. Because when you look at the people who work for these politicians, the population of people that you just described, those are the press secretaries. Those are the ones running the politicians' social media accounts. Those are the ones who are pushing their bosses to the left. Because you look at someone like Joe Biden. Joe Biden was essentially a partisan Democrat his entire time in the Congress, not particularly left-wing, just a regular old Democrat. And then he gets in the White House, and suddenly he's this left-wing lunatic. And you read these books about the campaign, and you read these books about his White House, and he was essentially bullied by his own staff into taking positions that Joe Biden in the 1980s would have looked at you in the face and said, you have to be on drugs to believe that.
Yeah, and that's true for CEOs with their wives, pushing them further to the left because they want to be part of the in crowd in their cocktail parties and dinner parties. So it is a huge problem, but of course that doesn't obviate the responsibility of a person like Biden to say, I'm not going to take this. This goes against my common sense and my understanding of the world, just as the CEOs should also take responsibility for the fact that they are not discriminating against qualified people of color or women. To just the contrary, they're discriminating against overqualified white and Asian males, and don't pretend otherwise, and don't lower the quality of your board or of your managerial or your engineering staff by hiring unqualified people on the basis of race and gender, because this is the reality, John. Given the extent of the academic skills gap, especially with regards to minorities, blacks and Hispanics on the one hand, especially blacks and whites and Asians on the other, you can either have meritocracy or you can have diversity. You cannot have both. And any institution that is still telling you that it is putting a priority on diversity, that includes some of the departments at the University of California, are basically telling you that they are violating meritocracy and they are hiring subpar performers.
The piece is Trump Forces the New York Times Hand on Crime, available online over at the City Journal's website. Heather McDonald, thanks so much for stopping by, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me, John. Bye-bye.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to see us in person, you could do that tomorrow.
It's coming up tomorrow, everyone. Join Johnny and I at the Pineapple Hills Saloon in Sherman Oaks tomorrow from noon to 3. It's another live broadcast. We've done many live broadcasts from that beautiful back patio, including, Johnny, you remember the one where it was real windy and the tent split open?
Oh, yes. That's when I got hit right in the head.
That's not going to happen this time. But that back patio now has a great back bar, and the food is great. The drinks are great. Angela is great. The people working at the Pineapple Hill are great. We're going to have a wonderful time celebrating Jimmy Buffett Friday. But we're not just there to party. We also have important work to do. Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association will be joining us. As the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes, we need you to come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13. Get all of your friends and family, get your neighbors, everyone to go to this website, saveprop13.com. That's saveprop13.com. You print out the petition, you sign it, you send it in. You could even bring a whole bunch of them with you to the event. But Susan needs these signatures collected by February 17th so we can get this thing on the ballot to make sure that they cannot continue to keep raising our taxes in California. Otherwise, it's not just going to be me moving to New Mexico. It's the Pineapple Hill tomorrow from noon to 3. The John Phillips Show live. We'll see you there.
All right. So you've been talking about the naked person in the San Fernando Valley that's been causing a stir, and we've been avoiding doing the story up until now.
It's time, everyone. There is a dispute going on in a Sherman Oaks neighborhood because a woman who lives in an apartment building looks outside her window and she sees inside a different apartment building a man who has his blinds open and his pants off.
Uh-oh.
Let's start with the piece from KTLA.
Now at 10:30, a Sherman Oaks woman says she is living a nightmare. Her neighbor walks around naked all the time and refuses to cover up.
Okay. I'm going to be in the minority on this one, but she could shut her blinds too.
That has been suggested to her. Now, just for clarification, he is not doing this outside. He is naked in his own home. Just the windows are open.
Okay, I don't know why he has his windows open, and I certainly don't know why she has hers open if that's what she's seeing day and night.
She says her neighbor exposes himself at all hours of the day, upsetting her son and making her uncomfortable.
I heard a story, by the way, about a certain elected assemblyman in Sacramento who lives downtown and does the same thing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Nudes up.
And she says she needs help.
KTLA's Chris Wolf joins us live in Sherman Oaks with the story you'll see only on 5. Chris.
That's right, John and Sandy. This mom I spoke with tells me she got this apartment here in Sherman Oaks because of its large windows with all of that beautiful...
Okay, first off, nobody gets an apartment because of the windows. That's not happening.
No.
Because of its large windows with all of that beautiful California sunshine pouring in. But now she's also getting a daily dose of a full moon and...
Oh, boy.
I'm surprised he didn't sing any of the lyrics of Moon River.
a full frontal.
Oh, my.
Whoa.
It's traumatic.
Neighbors can be noisy, nerve-wracking. But what would you do if one of yours was constantly naked and naughty?
Okay, here is the honest-to-God truth. This is one of these cases, it's like sexual harassment, where if the person is attractive, it's not a problem. But if the person is repulsive, it is pornographic.
So you're saying that if the naked man was in better shape, no one would have a problem with it?
Yeah. When I hear this story, I'm picturing a guy who looks like Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future. And no one wants to see that naked.
Exposing himself through an uncovered bedroom window. That's exactly what one mother and son in Sherman Oaks say is happening. They feel hopeless and helpless, describing an obscene, unwanted, endless skin show.
You know, reporters in a city like LA have to cover so many awful, awful, awful stories. It's nice when you get to have fun with one.
Boy, where's Ed Laskos when you need him?
I'm surprised they didn't send Ed. We do have a Fox report, but they did not send Ed.
On the day of this interview, Michelle McClintock recorded her nude neighbor, who lives in another apartment building across a breezeway just feet from her home. He has touched him.
Couldn't you consider that revenge porn?
I guess you could.
She's filming him naked without his consent.
He has touched himself.
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, he's in his bedroom.
Because there are some people who are just nudists, And they do everything in the nude. They clean their house in the nude. They watch television in the nude. They fry bacon in the nude.
What if that's his religion? To be naked all the time?
What religion is that?
He has touched him.
A nudist.
He has touched himself.
Yes, he's definitely touched himself. I've seen him touch himself several times. Yeah.
So why are you watching?
Yeah, I don't understand. This is not that complicated. Then you shut your windows.
Doing the most with his hands.
And he lays in the bed and you can kind of see what he's doing.
Sometimes I'll be coming back from school and I'm seeing him naked, or I'm cooking, or I'm eating in the living room, or watching TV.
I think you want to see it. I think you're curious as to what's going on in there. Because there are plenty of places to point your eyes while you're cooking. Staring out the window at naked man doesn't seem like you're paying attention to your knife work.
I can't think of a time where I've ever looked into someone else's unit from wherever I've been living. I don't even think that's happened to me once.
Or I'm eating in the living room, or watching TV, and I look and I just see him.
How big is this window? It seems like the entire apartment is just facing naked guy.
Maybe it's one of those bifold doors.
And I look and I just see him naked, and it's just really disgusting, and I hate it.
McClintock explains she reached out to police but was placed on hold and finally gave up.
Now, just in the name of gender disparity, do you think this teenager would have a problem if it was naked woman?
No, I don't think so at all.
Placed on hold and finally gave up.
Oh, that's the fun part of the story. She called the non-emergency line. Nobody picks up the non-emergency line.
Well, I'm sure she could fill out a form online.
She reached out to police but was placed on hold and finally gave up. She's contacted her apartment managers, her naked neighbors' apartment managers, and so far has received no help. She even placed a large note in her window urging the stranger to close his blinds when he strips down.
So now you want him to stare into your room?
Okay, this is like Kramer going to war with Kenny Rogers Roasters.
So now she has in her apartment a giant sign that says, "Put your clothes on or close your blinds."
Yeah, well, I have a feeling that this single mom won't be bringing home a new dad anytime soon if that's what she's doing in her window.
He does not seem to care. And when I put the note in the window, and the response I got back was for him telling me to close my blinds.
Yeah, he put up his own sign that says, "You close your blinds."
This is real healthy.
To close.
This is the strangest feud I've ever heard of.
It's like the Hatfields and McCoys. McCoys were naked.
To close my blinds. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
If he is willfully exposing his genitalia.
But it's his apartment.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants in his living room.
To other people, and they are annoyed or offended by it. And it is intended to direct their attention to his genitalia, specifically for sexual arousal or to be sexually offensive. He would be looking at an indecent exposure charge.
I don't know how you charge someone with indecent exposure in their own house.
No. If you actually charged him with a crime, the ACLU would be on this one.
Attorney Allison Treasel says that if this individual does have a criminal record, including sex offenses, he could possibly...
not every naked person is a sex offender. I feel like we're generalizing.
No. There are people who are sex offenders, and then there are people who are just straight up perverted. It is not illegal to be straight up perverted.
He could possibly be...
What if it's just really hot in his apartment?
I guess it could be that.
He could possibly be facing...
Save on that AC.
He could possibly be facing a felony case here. Also, Michelle McClintock tells...
We don't charge felons felony cases. I don't think Naked Guy is getting the LAPD on his door anytime soon.
Nope. What are they going to do? Tell them to put a leaf in front of it?
Also, Michelle McClintock tells me that she has two beautiful granddaughters, ages 3 and 4 years old, but they simply cannot visit her here because of what they might see across the way. Reporting live in Sherman Oaks, Chris Wolf, KTLA 5 News.
Now, this might surprise you, Johnny, but that story didn't go away yesterday. So now here's the Fox 11 version.
New 5, nothing wrong with going nude in one's...
All right, Christine.
By the way, she can't bring her 3-year-old grandchild over because of that. Either shut your window or play ring toss.
New 5, nothing wrong with going nude in one's own home. But a family in Sherman Oaks says what's objectionable is when it's happening right outside their living room window. What to do about that? Fox 11 Susan.
How close are these apartments?
They must be right on top of each other.
But they're different buildings.
What to do about that? Fox 11 Susan here with Stuna. Joining us live in Sherman Oaks to get to the bottom of this unusual complaint. Susan.
Well, Christine, so what is the naked truth here? We try.
Of course.
I love the fact that all of the news channels sent a crew over there to cover this.
Well, of course, this is clickbait. You know people want to see the naked story.
Well, Christine, so what is the naked truth here? We try.
By the way, you imagine you're just this dude. You're nuding up in your apartment. You're flipping through the TV. And all of a sudden, you're famous.
Hey. If he's an exhibitionist, he's probably enjoying the attention.
Well, Christine, so what is the naked truth here? We tried to find the guy who lives in that apartment complex right there to get...
Apparently, he's really easy to spot.
Yeah.
His version of the reason why he walks around regularly in his bedroom in full view. And we failed. We were hoping perhaps he might want to bare his soul to us instead.
Well, it's not a soul that he wants to bear.
We got his point of view from a sign posted in his window.
I think we know that we see him.
There's a regular peep show outside the second floor window of the Sherman Oaks.
Okay, it's not even on the ground floor. You have to look up to see this.
No, these people are purposely looking into that unit.
You mean the apartment unit?
Yeah, well...
There's a regular peep show outside the second floor window of the Sherman Oaks apartment. 24-year-old Isaiah says without warning, he'll see his naked neighbor.
Everyone's watching this guy. This is the entertainment.
Okay, people are just sitting there with binoculars or something.
Typically, I usually leave the blind just open, literally just like that, and like I'll see him just walking, on like sleeping on his bed, or just like kind of just like walking around naked.
Wait, you can't sleep naked in your bed anymore?
A lot of people sleep naked. If you don't believe me, just pay attention the next time you run out in the street in the middle of the night when there's an earthquake.
Bed, or just like kind of just like walking around naked, grabbing his phone, and it's just.
Thank God he said phone.
I didn't know where he was going with that.
And it's just very disgusting.
Isaiah and his mom finally got fed up and posted a sign.
This, by the way, this entire piece, the KTLA piece and the Fox 11 piece, you know what the neighborhood is responsible for here? Body shaming.
Is this the same couple that talked to the other channel, or are these different people?
These are different people.
Isaiah and his mom finally got fed up and posted a sign asking him to...
Oh, maybe it is the same guy, although he was described as a teenager in the other piece, but this piece says he's 24. Maybe there's multiple.
No, I think they're different people.
So different apartments now have signs that say, hey, cover up, buddy.
Isaiah and his mom finally got fed up and posted a sign asking him to close his blinds. The unidentified man then posted his own sign telling them to close their blinds, calling them creepy and rude.
Oh, my.
Well, they're the ones staring.
Well, if you could see his genitals when he's in bed, that's not something you just casually see. You're standing there staring.
Other neighbors know all about the naked guy.
I wonder if they ever have conversations with him when he's clothed, go out and get the mail or something.
They wouldn't recognize him.
That's true.
Everyone knows who he is in this building. They definitely have talked about him and think it's like kind of odd.
Lola looks out that window every day.
You're saying that your young daughter...
The entire neighborhood is staring at this guy.
Okay, I have a feeling they're the perverts.
might be able to see something.
Correct. I don't love that.
Isaiah's mom tried to file a complaint on a non-emergency line, but no one picked up. Her next step is to go to the community LAPD station. And according to attorney Dimitri Gorin, she's got a valid complaint.
I don't think so.
No, she doesn't.
When you constantly walk around naked, it implies that you want other people to see you, especially once.
I think you're reading into things.
I think everyone in this story has lost their mind.
They have warned you.
Well, Attorney Gorin says that the sign that Isaiah posted is warning enough, but better still to get the police involved, because if that man continues to violate a police warning, well, that could lead.
I don't know how the police are supposed to tell you to cover up in your own domicile.
Sir, you're going to need to wear jammies when you go to bed.
Well, that could lead to him being forced to register as a sex offender. Reporting live in Sherman Oaks, I'm Susan Hirasuna, Fox 11 News.
As you said, they're the naked truth.
Christine had to get it on the fun.
All right, thanks so much.
There you go. The saga of an entire neighborhood in Sherman Oaks that can't stop staring at the naked guy, but they claim they don't like it.
The fruit is out of the loom. It's the John Phillips Show.